So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the federal regulations talk that was presented today. Two speakers, Noel and John, they're kind of directors of the advocacy department or government relations. And so these were really good speakers to be able to hear from. So the first part was about this Congressional Review Act, CRA. So just to be clear, this is an act that was started in the Obama administration, is not yet approved. And so this is the next piece of regulation that's likely to go through. And as a result of it not being yet approved by the time that Obama left, there's going to be likely significant changes made to the Every Student Succeeds Act and the Higher Education Act. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. Here's the key thing. The feeling from the experts is that the assessment regulations, so assessment's still going to be there, nothing's going to change, but there might be some changes related to supplement, not supplant. And supplement, not supplant is all about money. If you look at this, the concept is that federal funds must supplement and not supplant the type of funding available for states. So that's where a lot of the money comes from. So the concern is that they might actually get less as a result of this. In terms of the policy outlook for education, there's a lot of concern about higher education, in particular because Secretary DeVos doesn't have a lot of experience in terms of higher education, and because of some changes in the immigration policy. I'll talk about that afterwards. Now, in terms of regulations, there's some concern here specifically related to there's going to be probably the teacher prep regulations will be removed, and some of the requirements in terms of canceling debt. If your debt to earning ratio was really high, so like if you had a lot of student debt and you weren't earning a lot, then you could potentially cancel your student loan. That's also likely to go away in the new administration. So just to give you a sense of the teacher prep regulations, they are supposed to report annually about retention, the feedback from employers, and things like learning outcomes. So it's less about federally required, regulation or regular reporting. There's going to be more emphasis on states deciding what works for them. So the question period I thought was really interesting because they had an opportunity to ask a lot of different questions. One of the things that they said is there's probably going to be a lot less emphasis on accessibility, especially for students with special needs. Just there isn't that kind of desire in this new administration. They said, keep in mind that regulations are law. Everybody has to follow it, and guidance is just like a suggestion. So the emphasis in the new administration is likely going to be more on guidance and less on regulations. In terms of the CRA, I mentioned it's already pending approval. There's concerns from higher ed that there's going to be an impact on immigration, and this will affect these full-paying tuition students that are helping to fund higher education. For example, there's 750,000 students that came in as children that are at risk of deportation given, like, say, a new executive order from Trump. And so I actually asked a question specifically about ed tech, and one of the things that they emphasized was they don't see any new opportunities for ed tech funding. In fact, cuts are likely due to a Department of Defense increase in their spending. And they said a lot of schools, if they have Title IV technology spending, they're likely to try to redivert it for Title I purposes. So this is not great from a technology perspective. And just to give you some clarity on what Title IV and Title I is, in the Every Student Succeeds Act, you can see that Title IV is their educational research and training. This is where most of their tech spend is. They're likely going to be able to want to spend this on children of low-income families, which makes sense, but it's something to keep aware of. All right.